Namaste. Surya Namaskar B. Surya Namaskar B is one of the primary sun salutations that we'll come to, especially when we're trying to integrate a little bit more dynamic movement into our yoga practice. So without going into too much detail in terms of the anatomical presuppositions of each of the asana that we will be doing in relationship to one another, I'm just going to briefly go through the sequence to give ourselves a familiarity with what the sequence is and looks like. So as usual, we're going to be starting in Tadasana, mountain pose, and it's a sequence which both brings us through the half sun salutation into a little bit more of a dynamic relationship between standing postures, namely Virabhadrasana 1, into plank, even into a half plank, into an upward facing dog, to downward facing dog, and then we slowly move our way all the way back up toward the front of the mat. So I'll go through that briefly, and then we'll reconvene and I'll go back over what those postures are. So I always like to use bricks to give myself a little bit of room for my body, and so that's always an option. Otherwise, just take it as an option. It's not always the appropriate thing, especially if we've been practicing these postures for a long time. But I'm going to get started in that Tadasana position. I have my feet just a little bit apart from one another, and I'm grounding down through my feet. I exhale everything out where I am, and then I'm going to inhale. I'm going to lift my arms all the way up and overhead, and I'm going to start to bend my knees and sit back into Utkatasana chair. I take a full deep breath where I am, reaching through my arms, and then slow and control, I'm going to fold forward. I inhale, I come halfway up, lengthening my chest forward out in front of me. And then from here, I'm just going to step back towards a plank position. I have my hands grounding into the bricks. I take a deep full inhale, pressing up and away from the floor. And then slowly, just for this variation, I'm going to lower my knees towards the floor. I inhale, I'm going to lengthen my chest plate forward through my upper arms. And then I'm going to exhale, I'm going to press back into downward facing. I'm going to step my right foot forward between the bricks. I step my left foot out a little bit. I'm turning my left heel down towards the floor. And then I just have one breath. I'm going to inhale. I reach my arms all the way up towards the ceiling. And then I exhale, I'm coming all the way back down. I press down through my bricks. I step back into that plank position. I take a full deep inhale. Exhale, slow and control. I lower my knees to the floor. Inhale, I lengthen my chest just through the thoracic spine, wheeling the chest through the upper arms. Exhale, slow and control back to downward facing. Step my left leg through my upper arms. Step my right foot out towards the right, back heel comes down. Make sure you're long enough in the pose, and then one breath. I inhale, reaching my arms all the way up and overhead. And then exhale, I slowly come back down, press through the palms, back to that plank position. Take a deep inhale, lengthening the chest. Keeping that neutral spine, I exhale, lower my knees to the floor. Inhale, wheeling the chest forward through the upper arms. And then exhale, slow and control all the way back downward facing. Walking the feet forward to the front of the mat. And folding forward, slow and control. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, fold. And inhale, I come all the way back up, arms towards the ceiling. And exhale, arms to the side again, right where I started. So that's a variation of that Surya Namaskar B, sun salutation with Virabhadrasana 1. It's not the traditional sequence of the postures where I'm lowering into a low plank and then pressing into upward facing dog. It's a variation where I'm trying to create a little bit more spinal stability and allowing myself a little bit more space, especially with the stepping of the foot forward and back. It also allows myself a little bit more time to really feel the breath in and out of the postures. This is an example of integrating a little bit more of a dynamic, let's say vinyasa type practice into your asana yoga practice. And it's something worth trying, especially during the day when you may be needing a little bit more movement to maybe wake yourself up and invigorate where you are in the day. And it's also a great way of integrating into the early part of your practice before you, let's say, go into the more static postures or even into more relaxation postures. Something to try. Always nice to abbreviate the postures that we traditionally would do over and over again. I hope that helps. Namaste.